Good morning. It is a high honor for me to be here today. I began my life, my education, surrounded by the resources of our nation's capital, but in a segregated school. The people with the highest expectations for me as a young African-American girl were my parents. My mother taught my siblings and me to read before kindergarten. My father, very mechanically gifted, served in World War II in a segregated Army unit. During the Normandy invasion, he repaired the rudders of the amphibious vehicles bringing the troops to shore, which kept breaking. He did this under fire, and for that, he received a Bronze Star. Now, my parents, born just 50 years after the end of the Civil War, alone could not have carried me to the life I have had without the confluence of two events that set me on a new trajectory, and had the Smithsonian Institution not been here to potentiate that confluence. The first was the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision, which allowed me to attend integrated schools instead of traveling miles across Washington to segregated schools. The second event was the launch by the Soviet Union of Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, which ignited my interest in science and strengthened the math and science curriculum in the public schools in the United States. In junior high school, I was tested and placed in an accelerated honors program, which led me to MIT, where I was one of only 2 African-American women in my class, the first ever. Now, my great fortune was having the Smithsonian as an extension of my classrooms. It opened my eyes to the wonders of the natural world and to science. Its art and cultural resources allowed me to understand other eras, other places, other lives. It developed my empathy, imagination, and sophistication. It took a young girl, not from a wealthy background, from a segregated environment, and enriched and ennobled her life immeasurably. Today, we arrive at another great moment of confluence when the Smithsonian Institution launches a museum where the history, culture, and the heroism of African Americans like my father, like Congressman John Lewis, like our President, Barack Obama, and others, are recognized fully, constituting a great tributary feeding the larger stream of our national story. Now, this is so meaningful for me and for millions like me to see the full story of a people who came here enslaved, yet lifted so many others up, and ultimately themselves. We do a very great thing today for the millions of children from all over the nation and from around the globe who will come to the National Museum of African American History and Culture, be moved and astonished, and emerge with an elevated sense of their own heritage, their own prospects, their own potential. My father always says, aim for the stars. That's what he told us, to at least reach the treetops. And you be sure to get off the ground. I took his advice, and many African Americans have aimed high, and their achievements, large and small, now are given a place of honor here on the National Mall. On behalf of the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institution, I thank all of you for being here. I thank all of those who brought this to reality. I, too, sing America. Thank you.